Your business will never outgrow you. If you feel stuck, if you're plateaued, or you're just sick of the daily grind without seeing the results you want, it's not your marketing, it's not the economy, it's you. And I realize this may be a really tough pill to swallow, but most entrepreneurs think that the key to growing their business is some new strategy, some tool, some marketing hack. And I thought the same thing. And I wasted years of my life spinning my wheels until I just woke up one day and realized the real reason my business was stuck wasn't out there somewhere, it was right here. The late, great Jim Rohn said it best. Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development because success is something you attract by the person you become. So today, I want to help you get unstuck once and for all by exploring what it really takes to grow your business. And if you stick with me until the end, I'm going to share 4 key areas that you should focus on growing within yourself to help you build the business of your dreams. Like many of you, my small business journey has been anything but smooth. When I first started out, I believed business growth was all about grinding harder. I had all the tools, I had a business degree, a great idea. Man, I had the drive to make it happen. Therefore, I thought the only thing keeping me from achieving my goal was putting in the reps each day. I believed the longer hours, the more sales I would make, the bigger risks I took would eventually land me on top. But instead of breaking through, I just burned out. Like many of you, my business would just hit one ceiling after another that I just couldn't seem to push past. No matter how much effort I put in, I was barely able to keep food on the table. We were eating spaghetti like 4 nights a week because that's all we could afford. My kids loved it, but that's hardly the life that I had envisioned when I'd started out. Meanwhile, I looked around and it seemed like everyone else around me was just killing it. There was one meeting in particular where I was invited out to this fancy steakhouse for a possible business deal. You probably know the type of place where everything is ordered a la carte and there's no way you're getting out of that place for under $100. Well, this was a problem, considering I'd used my last $20 to put gas in my car just so I could get to that meeting. I was broke, and I definitely felt as if I just didn't belong at that table. It was at that meal that it really hit me. My business wasn't stuck, I was. Unfortunately, it took me till I was almost 40 years old to figure out that your company will rarely outgrow the person running it. So if you want to grow your business, you have to grow yourself first. While traditional education can be valuable for some people, entrepreneurs, they typically find very small amounts of what they learn in the classroom to be valuable at all. Most college programs teach you how to work for someone else, not how to work for yourself. Instead, real-world skills such as leadership, mindset, communication, and strategy, those are the personal development levers that when you start to pull those, it unlocks everything else. And here's the best part. You already have what it takes inside of you. You just have to develop that more. Today, I want to unpack these 4 growth areas so you can see exactly what's holding you back. Now, I'm not talking about some crazy ideas that only some billionaires have access to. I'm talking real business owner tactics. But before we break down the best ways to develop these for yourself, make sure to subscribe. I drop content every week that entrepreneurs just like you can use to build the business and life that you really desire. So let's jump into growth area number 1, which is leadership. Right now, you may be wearing every hat in your company. You're the visionary, you're the salesman, you're the marketer, you're the janitor some days. Even if it's just you in your business right now, you will never rise above your ability to lead. When you do finally hire someone, building employee manuals and standard operating procedures, yeah, those are definitely important to scaling your business. However, more and more studies are showing that people value the work environment more because of how it makes them feel, not because of just their pay. You can't manage tasks all day long. You must learn how to inspire people. Just a few years ago, I was so excited to have hired this woman who was going to help me with the expansion of our business territory. This was a big step for me because up until this point, I had done it all by myself. I had taken the time to build the systems and she was fired up, which was great. This seemed like the perfect scenario on the surface. So I sent her out there just to go make it happen. Unfortunately, she ran into one challenge after another, and she quickly became frustrated and ended up quitting. And at first, I looked at that situation and I justified it by saying that she just wasn't cut out for this role. Then I happened to read the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, and I realized she wasn't the problem. My lack of leadership skills, that was the real issue. In addition to the expectations I set, I should have guided and mentored her far better than I did. Fast forward to today, and I have a whole team in place, a clearly defined plan, and I'm inspiring and mentoring each one of them. So the real lesson here is that until you grow as a leader, your business will always feel like you're just dragging it uphill. So the second growth area here that you need to develop is your own mindset. If your thoughts are small, your results are always going to be small. So many of us, we allow the narratives of our past to dictate our lives today. Things like fear, doubt, and comparison don't just slow you down and make you miserable, they strangle your business as well. So think about it for a second. Do you think people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Alex Hormozi have insecurities? Of course they do. But they have strengthened their minds and developed the courage to act despite those fears and doubts. So I've often had several conversations with people that think because I'm a certified high performance coach, I don't fall victim to this. But I've often caught myself doom scrolling far too long. In no way am I completely immune to these challenges. Much like everyone else, I log in to check one thing and 45 minutes later I catch myself and say, wow, what am I doing? Inevitably, my mindset suffers every time I do that. I'm stuck thinking, wow, how did they afford that new car? Geez, how are they taking another exotic vacation? And I immediately start beating myself up and judging myself for not being at that level. Ironically, I was at my happiest when my Facebook account was hacked and I didn't have access at all for 3 years. Fortunately, over time and through studying the mindsets of the most successful people in the world, I've managed to develop the discipline to really minimize my social media intake and strengthen my mindset. So the real lesson here is that every breakthrough in business and in life is first preceded by a breakthrough in your mindset. Growth area number 3 is communication. You have to develop those communication skills if you're going to really move forward. So you've probably heard the phrase, business moves at the speed of trust. If you can't build relationships, manage conflict, or influence others, your business will hit a wall every time. Even if you have no employees right now, this is also the case for your potential clients, referral partners, and even your family. Communication can be a particularly tricky skill to master, and it's so much more than just standing in front of an audience speaking. You see, we all come from different backgrounds, environments, education levels. Therefore, we interpret the information we receive in vastly different ways. So when it comes to earning trust, the way we communicate with each other is either earning your credibility or it's destroying it. And each of us has this minimum level of trust necessary before we will put our names and reputations on the line, before we even want to be associated with you. And that can initially sound a bit harsh, but just stop and think about this for a minute. What I think is funny, someone else may find completely offensive. When I think that I've explained my expectations thoroughly, it's clear as mud to someone else. It's only when you can really put yourself in their shoes that you have any hope of improving the results of your communication. So personal development focused on communication is a critical part of your growth. You'll find that everything accelerates when people trust you enough to follow, buy, or refer you. Growth area number 4 that you really need to focus on is strategic thinking. So at some point, you can't just keep doing everything yourself. You have to stop being the worker bee and become that architect of your business. Now I know this is easier said than done. However, you are typically the biggest bottleneck for your business. There are only so many hours in each day, and your business doesn't give a crap if you're tired. Therefore, Your business is only going to grow if you can transition into that visionary role as soon as possible. For most of us, money is the main reason we don't do this a little bit earlier on in our business. I know that for me, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul for many years, and hiring, that just seemed like distant pipe dream. Every day I was so deep into getting the work done, there was little to no time for me to plan on how to improve that situation. It wasn't until I really just paused for a minute and I took a step back and I was able to gain some perspective on the situation. And that's when I realized what was really going on. I had started a business to find this new level of freedom in my life, but somewhere along the way, I had built myself a job, not a business. And it was a miserable, poor paying job at that. When I finally made the decision to hire, sure, my finances were a little bit scary at first, but I quickly was able to level up because I was able to approach every day with a clear mind, and I saw opportunities that were sitting right there in front of me the whole time. So if you feel like you've built yourself a job, not a business, developing yourself strategically is likely a missing link that's going to help you get ahead. The business grows when you step back and start to design systems, not just focus on the daily tasks. So if you've ever felt like you're just grinding harder than ever before and still just not able to break through, I completely get it. I also believed that this endless hustle was the answer. But here's the truth. Hard work is only part of the equation. And if you're missing the other half of that equation, you're never going to solve that formula. Success doesn't reward the person who works the most hours. It rewards the person who grows into the leader that their business needs while also putting in the time. So if you're tired of battling burnout, overwhelm, and frustration, here's 4 action items that you can put in place immediately starting today. First, invest in leadership. Books, mentors, coaches, real practice leading other people. That's how you're going to replace that doom scrolling with personal development that will actually make a difference in your life and your business. Don't leave that up to chance. Make it an intentional piece of every day. Second, you got to start to reprogram your mindset each day. While I initially thought that this stuff was a little bit fluffy for my style, the studies were clear. The highest performers in the world have daily practices of journaling, affirmations, and surrounding themselves with other high performers. When you develop your mind, the opportunities really start to become endless. Third, you got to work on your communication. Don't just leave that to chance. Practice listening more than talking and focus on really building trust with the people around you. The vast majority of conflict in your life and your business comes down to breakdowns in communication. So if you really want to grow faster, develop deeper levels of trust and pick up some books on that subject that can really make a huge difference. And lastly, shift into strategy. Every week, you need to carve out time to step back, review, and design the systems your business really needs. Dedicate time to work on your business, not just in it. That's going to open these doors that are probably right in front of you right now. So let me leave you with this. Your business is simply a reflection of you. If you want to grow, you have to grow yourself first. And remember that fancy meal at that steakhouse that I went to? Fortunately, they picked up the bill that day because they needed some tax write-offs. But you fast forward a few years, and now I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to repay that forward, and I'm able to do that for other people. The only reason that happened for me is because I invested in the most valuable business asset that I have, me. Because when you become more, you're going to attract more into your life. When you think bigger, you build bigger. And when you raise your standards, everything else around you will rise up with it. And if this spoke to you today, hit that subscribe and check out this next video right here. It's packed full of strategies to help underdog entrepreneurs just like you win by growing themselves into the kind of leader that success just can't ignore. See you soon.